Hi, welcome to If I Did It, a show where we analyze and solve pure kerfuffles from MMA world and beyond.
How you like that? That was a little subtle, piquant. That was like, I'm not just a fucking brawler. I'm a technician.
I'm a blower, baby.
I
can't participate in this charade. It's beneath me.
Rod, but you know that great Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis song?
Which one?
Blow me. No, wait. You gotta wait. A kiss before you leave.
Oh, yeah, I do that. There we go.
I'd
like to acknowledge your host, and joining me as always is Kid Native Bloody Elbow and EUGENE'S Robinson from Aussie.com. Offer fight everything everyone know about ass kicking. We're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
There you go. Yes.
Now, Eugene.
Sir.
You're WME-IMG.
Yes, of course.
As owners of the UFC, why are you allowing your UFC champion, Conor McGregor, that's right, your UFC champion as an ultimate fighting mixed martial arts champion with a 0-0 boxing record, to fight boxing champion and GOAT contender Floyd Mayweather Jr. in the squared circle of all places? How is this good PR for your MMA brand to allow your money-weight champion to pimp himself out to Mayweather Promotions?
You're looking at this the wrong way. And of course, I've said that when people have found out horrible things like my sausage in a place it shouldn't be, and they get very upset. And I'm like, look, you're overreacting. Yeah, I mean, it's an ill wind that doesn't blow somebody some good. In this instance, this is what in the Silicon Valley we call cooperation. In this instance, if I'm sitting there and I'm around the board table, I say, they did do some kind of cross-branded thing with WWE, and at this point, the business is about growth deltas. If I can get $600 million off of this fight, which is directly correlated to the numbers of people watching it, and I stand a chance that through the gift of gab and the savage jaw of Conor McGregor, thank you for the David Bowie reference. And I could peel off 3%, 4%. If it's a direct mail campaign and you get a 3% return, you're a king. You get a 5% return, you are the emperor. Why wouldn't I do it? I got a lot to gain and I got nothing to lose. Everybody's got their built-in excuse. If Conor gets knocked out, he's like, wow, man, boxing really is a sweet science. And I didn't know. I just thought, if he somehow gets a leg up or gets disqualified because he does something illegal, I guess I just need to go back to where I'm, I mean, in essence, we're going to see these guys on stage for however many months there are between now and August 26th. And he's already started. He's mocking Floyd Mayweather. Like Hamlet said, the play is a thing in which will catch the conscience of the king. The fight is a thing. The fight is the least of the things in this instance. Nobody really gives a fuck about that. We got two champion trash talkers. We are excited starting now. And if you don't think that the viewership for the press conference is going to be huge, you're crazy. This is a big deal for us, and we should sit back and count the money.
It's short-term money, Eugene. It's foolishness. It's burning your brand. It's burning your biggest star. I don't know that they could have stopped it. That's the thing. They're desperate for cash because they had the enormous loan to buy the UFC, and their pay-per-view numbers have been way down, way down, and their revenue is way below projections. Their matchmaking has been piss poor. So, and McGregor, the guy's a wild man. There's no stopping him. I mean, he was supposedly leveraging, Representative Mullen pushing the Ali Act, getting the Ali Act for MMA as a bill going. I mean, it's not passed, but it's moving and things are happening. And McGregor's leveraging that, leveraging everything, leveraging his star power. I mean, he had the UFC by the short hairs and he squeezed. This guy is a whole different deal.
I like the mixing of the metaphors. They squeeze the short hairs. How about he pulled the short hair?
He yanked.
Yes, thank you. Jesus Christ.
Well, they might got some short hairs caught in their fingers when they were squeezing.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Might have ended up in a Coke can like Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill, but yeah, no, they had no choice, so make the best of it. That's that's what they got to do.
Well, like they said, the difference between Goy and Jews doing business, the Goy says fuck it, and the Jew says fuck it, let's make this work. I mean, I don't know how at this point in time that you can make the claim that it's bad for the brand. I go versus what? Versus another Ross Pearson fight? Which is bad. Which is bad for the brand. Which of those is bad for the brand? You know?
Yeah, I mean, the brand's credibility is at a low, not an all-time low, but a low for the post-Zuffa era. I mean, the Zuffa era is looking like a very distinct time period that is now in the past. And the WME era, it's still technically Zuffa. I mean, they bought Zuffa, and it's still Zuffa, but we know it's not really Zuffa. It's WME, and I don't think they know what the fuck they're doing. And so they're making it up as they go along. They're grasping at straws, and this is a pretty big straw that might float them for a little while.
Well, the thing also is when you have something with this kind of visibility internationally and being able to get Conor McGregor and your sport into the eyes and imaginations of individuals that don't normally watch it, I think it's a unique branding opportunity, one. Number two, if the fight goes the way in which people think it's going to go, which is a possible snore fest of Floyd ducking and dodging and Conor missing wildly, doing that for 8 to 10 rounds, however long it takes for Conor to, pass out from exhaustion, right? At the end of the day, like you said earlier, it is a boxing match, not an MMA match. It's not a UFC match. 3 to 5 rounds in UFC fights, right? More action in UFC fights. So at the end of the day, you could have a situation where even if and when Conor loses, the UFC could win because at the end of the day, the sport, the product they're offering has more excitement, more bang for your buck than a 10 to 12 round boring ass pitter-pat boxing match. Yeah, because when you watch a UFC match and there's pitter-patting, you only got maybe 3 rounds of that bullshit unless it's a championship fight, as opposed to a 10 round. I know the rounds have different times, but I'm telling you, as you guys know from your Care Don't Care, you can go to the fridge, get something to eat, come back, go to the bathroom, next fight, as opposed to, damn, is this thing still on? Oh my God.
But you won't do that. The smart money on this fight watches every round rapturously, because if it goes the way people are expecting it to go, it's the decline of Conor McGregor. I mean, what we're watching is the unbridled optimism that got him where he is the first round. The second round, sense of like, uh-oh, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. The third round is like when Mayweather starts, doing a Julio Cesar Chavez thing, and like what he did to Thomas Hagen. I'm gonna punish this fucking cabron. I'm gonna hold him up against the ropes and beat him like a bad habit. And then we got like 6 more rounds of this. So of McGregor and if you've been a McGregor hater, you're gonna love it. And if you've been a McGregor lover, you're actually going to love it as well, because what this will effectively do is shut down any cross promotion adventuring that he might orienteering that he might be compelled to do in the future. So yeah, it's nobody loses in this. Nobody.
Unless
Yeah, go ahead.
Unless McGregor makes enough money to call it a day, and that's what he was talking about early on when he first got into MMA. Get to the top, get out.
You know what? You know who can do that? Tough guys. He's not that tough of a guy. I was just talking to somebody about that in the meeting. When people are faced with when they're faced with like Kerouac said, the long yellow eternity cream of forever. When they're looking at that, I don't know if you know people who've been in bands who hit it, and they hit it huge, like when they're 23, and then they try to make sense of what to do with their lives at 43. It's fucking sad, man. It's sad. It goes back to the elephants at the zoo with the pumpkins. They were just throwing the pumpkins out there. Elephants were getting depressed. Man, it sucks. They started hiding the pumpkins. Well, elephants foraged. They found the pumpkins. improve the quality of life. They weren't getting sick. They weren't getting diseased. Yeah, it's one thing to say you're going to retire at fucking 29 or 30. Try retiring and then looking at another 10 years of what? Changing diapers? What? Hanging out with your bros that didn't leave Dublin to do shit? What? Nah, not easy to be retired. Not easy at all. What are you going to do? Even people who do movies haven't figured out that movies are a great way to make a living, but it's episodic. That's why you have drug abuse. You know, you tell me I can make $500,000 for 3 months work. Cool. Not so cool when you're trying to come up with stuff to do for the other 9 months of the year. How many yoga classes are you going to take? You know, I'm sure this is a first world problem. It's a problem that I myself don't even have. You know, but the reality of it is people need to do stuff with their time. Was he going to coach people? Was he just going to hang out with Jimmy Fallon?
Well, you could read the 7 Secret Sources of Inspiration and find out exactly what you can do with your time.
Yeah, good plug. Exactly. It's a curse for some people.
I meditated many a rich forward person.
Yep.
So, speaking about,
I got to go back to this though. I think in the end, the mistake you guys are making is thinking you can show off yourself in a bad light and win fans. This is going to make McGregor look like a jackass. It's going to make the UFC look like idiots because most people are really dumb and they don't pay much attention to things. It's not really that dumb. It's that they don't pay much attention to things. And when they tune in, what's this cage fighting business? Oh, this is the big fight everybody's talking about. Oh, the Irish guy just got his ass beat. This UFC stuff's a joke. They can't fight. I've seen them get beat up by boxers. That's going to be that.
Matt, we're still talking about the deltas, man. The reality of it is, this has got the best chance of it's got a better chance of converting than anything you're currently seeing in the UFC. So why not?
Well, that's.
I think it's Conor McGregor too. I mean, and we'll save it for later in terms of what he can do. But I think there are options in place. So one thing we'll go to right now, Nate.
No, hold on, wait. And remember, he got to where he is by dint of his fucking mouth, and then secondarily, his ability to deliver in the cage. But without the mouth, there are lots of guys out there who have got, you know, impressive records, but without that mouth, we don't know about McGregor.
But another thing too, but I'm gonna leave this for a little footnote for a future question is, remember the Nate Diaz fight? Oh, you know what? I need to make some adjustments. Oh yeah, whatever. And I won the fucking match.
Yeah, well, let's not touch on that because then I got to open up the whole can of.
Well, we're gonna save it for later. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna save it for later. So, speaking about handling and open up cans of things that you do not want to open, a veritable Pandora's box. Nate, your Showtime, the producer and distributor of the pay-per-view super fight between boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and UFC champion Conor McGregor. How do you prevent the promotion of your pugilistic mismatch being derailed by the death of UFC former heavyweight fighter Tim Hague, who died just 2 days after his boxing knockout loss?
This is a serious question, and this shit's getting big traction in Canada. It's being investigated by the police. The Edmonton Commission fucked up. The guy shouldn't have been fighting. He'd been knocked out. I mean, by their own rules, the guy should not have been in the ring because he'd been knocked out too recently. And head trauma is cumulative. The refereeing was abysmal. There's no way to take a look at this Tim Hague situation and come away going, well, it's just one of those things. Everybody did the best they could, but sometimes terrible things happen. You know, it's like if you're mountain climbing, every once in a while a belay's going to break, somebody's going to die. But if you look into the mountain climbing expedition and the guide was drunk and they took all the money they were going to spend on quality ropes and they spent it on clothesline and, you know, they climbed the wrong day under the wrong conditions and they were warned not to go up and then they died, then somebody's losing their license, then the whole enterprise looks bad. And it depends how much traction this gets, what Showtime can do. And all they can, I mean, and they've got to do proactive PR and be like, look, McGregor has not been knocked out a lot. You know, he's never been knocked out. He's been submitted. He's a professional fighter. He's in good health. He doesn't have this history of trauma. We've got the best referees. We've got the best medical professionals ringside. This is not going to happen here. This is a completely different thing. That was small-time boxing. Small-time boxing is dangerous. This is big-time boxing. Big-time boxing is safe. That's what they got to do, is separate themselves from this penny-ante dangerous nonsense that's getting people killed and say, we're the big time, we're A-list, we're safe. you know, and you know, do what you can to clean up the fucking sport, because that Hague thing was a completely pointless tragedy on every level.
What about you, Eugene?
Okay, you know, I'm going to take a momentary digression. At one point when I was in high school, I was working in a fast health food restaurant called Dennis's. And some guy comes up to me at the counter. I was working at the cash register, and the guy comes up and says, look at this. And he shows me a plate. He had ordered like a veggie burger with the tomatoes. And I go, yeah, it's a plate. He goes, no, look at the plate. I go, I'm looking at the plate. He goes, you see, you had tomatoes on this plate. I go, yeah. He says, citrus in this type of styrofoam creates a toxic compound. Look at the plate. It's disintegrated with under the citrus. And he goes, it's really dangerous. You shouldn't be serving people on this kind of. I go, oh my God, this guy's a chemist. I run into the back office to the manager and I say, hey man, this chemist just came in. Look at the plate. He's like, yeah. And I go, no, look at it. He goes, yeah, I see. But did you know that citrus in this styrofoam, you know, it's going to leach into the burger. You make people sick. You know, he's like, what do you expect me to do? I got a whole warehouse full of these things. What do you expect me to just throw them out because some fucking chemist came in here? Get back to work. I was like, man, that guy's Howard's a piece of shit. You know, he cares about his plates more than he cares about the people. Plates, the people. He's got a whole warehouse full of plates, and and this is a $600 million fight, and football is a multi-billion-dollar sport, and people die at football games. You got to realize, if you are in any of these sports that involve physical contact where people have already died, and I'm speaking specifically here mostly of football and the combat sports, I think a few people have died with baseball games, not many, and not in the major leagues.
Oh, in the major leagues they've died. That's.
I remember not Steve Buechele, but the guy who died spring training from the heat. He didn't die from contact on the field. But in any case, if there were 3 or 4 people who died electrocuted by, look, it happened that people got electrocuted on stage, and engineers who make sound equipment fucking rushed back and did this whole redux of how you ground the wires and the cladding for the wires in live performance instances. It's a big industry, but the reality of it is the people are fucking disposable. So I wish that all the stuff that Kid Nate said was true, but fighters are the plates in the storeroom, and what can you say, man? I'm still annoyed about the whole Doug Dedge thing. Don't remember that, do you? Who remembers Doug Dedge? Nope. MMA fighter who died in the Ukraine, who was an last-minute alternate, thought he was having a rock and roll fantasy moment. Oh, the main guy's out. Who wants to fill in? He raises his hand. This is my time. And he dies in the fucking Ukraine, in the cage. It's like, these are yesterday's stories, sadly. But that, if anything in my mind, that put a nail in my continued interest in boxing. It's just tough, man. If you've been watching MMA, it's tough to watch boxing where the target zone is head, midsection, head, midsection. That's it. Whole fight. That's all you're getting hit at. Head, midsection.
So, speaking of that, Eugene, your boxing champion, Floyd Mayweather. 1, why do you care about a super fight with UFC champion Conor McGregor? And 2, is it in your best interest to pretend that the match will be competitive instead of complete domination?
Well, see, there are a couple people who are super excited about this fight, right? Touts, 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 gambling degenerates, and MMA hopefuls. Or maybe boxing sadists and MMA hopefuls and touts. Now, of those 3 categories, the touts are the ones who are mired knee-deep in conspiracy. And these are the guys watching the betting lines and watching for any kind of shift that would signal that the smart money is going somewhere else. Because there are ways for McGregor to win this fight. Not legitimate ways, not kosher ways, not ways that don't stink, but there are ways for things to happen. Injuries stop fights. Strange things could happen. Who's to say if the guy's got a pulled muscle in his back? Or, I've been in competitions and suddenly had all power go out of my arm. Who am I? Roberto Duran? Did I quit? I don't know, but I couldn't use my arm for at least a moment in time. Lots of things could happen. So the touts are the ones who are out there doing like this, and they got the finger in the air, and they're starting to, okay, All right, where's the smart money going? Is McGregor going to take his 100 mil and put it on? Is Mayweather going to take his 100 mil and put it on McGregor? Well, you know, there's supposed to be organizations that watch over this stuff to make sure there's no such chicanery, but it's in Vegas. Yeah, you know, and what happens there tends to stay there. So if I'm Mayweather, I got lots of motivations for doing this fight. I got like Jeff Gillooly said about who's a chick, the ice skating chick.
Tanya Harding.
Tanya Harding said, "Yeah, come on, officer. I got nothing to hide. In this instance, Mayweather's got nothing to lose." See, you know, I mean, and again, back to the earlier point, why is Mayweather doing it? Like he needs 100 mil. Oh, there are rumors he's broke. Nah, man, it's tough being retired unless you have an active inner life, and he doesn't seem like a guy who's got an active inner life to me. Well, you know, after how many video games can you play? How many times can you play frisbee with the kids in the park? How many times you could do a hip hop record? You know, how come you hang around with guys who don't have fucking jobs? You know, it's not that easy being retired. This is maybe easy money for him.
And that's number one. But no, so it's the second part of the question then. In the promotion of the fight, do you build up Conor and make it seem like it's going to be competitive, or do you attract interest to the fight by pointing out your complete domination and how you're going to destroy this guy?
Have you listened to nothing I've said, sir? have you? The reality of it is nobody's watching for that. You know, we're watching that press conference not to see if he says nice things about McGregor. We're watching for the exact opposite.
No, I'm saying no. If you're Floyd Mayweather though, like, so what are you? So how are you? You're in the press conference when you're getting all these interviews. What kind of presentation are you going to have with regard to how competitive this fight is going to be?
No. This is you have entered smack talk nirvana, man. This is a completely different fucking animal. This is like the kind of animal that you saw when you saw Diaz and McGregor. This is like that. You know, this is but more so because it's cross border. I mean, this is very precisely like that. You're expecting big. I mean, if he were to sit there and start talking up McGregor, you would instantaneously change the channel. You would turn it off because that's not why we're excited about this fight. Not at all. This is Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. If you don't know what the fuck this is not even Inoki and Ali, because Inoki, his English wasn't strong, so there was no. This is just something else, man. My expectations for this, I got nothing for the fight. But I got to the lead up, you know, and a better question is McGregor going to be respectful? I don't imagine so. You know, there's going to be the mockery and this, not the there's going to be this kind of mummery. At first they'll play nice, but as soon as it kicks into gear, it's going to be fantastic. And I think talking him up, why would Mayweather do that? That's not going to put asses in the seats. You got to build real vitriol still. And I think these guys, like, you know, why I say strip clubs breed impotency and why I don't enjoy them, because when I go to a strip club, I identify with the performers. I don't identify with the audience. It's like going to a magic show. You identify with the magician, not the stoops that are fooled by the magic. These guys they're in on the kill take. They're on the same side of the freaking coin, man. And they know that the most important person to them to $100 million payday is sitting on the other end of the table. So let the games begin. I think they're in cahoots, and I think that this is a way for them to get rich. Do you remember he said, if Dana White doesn't shut up, I'm going to teach his fighters how to make some real money. That's almost a quote, you know. So I think that these guys, whatever happens, it'll be masterful, and it'll be something that they both are on the same page with.
What about you, Nate?
Well, first off, he's Floyd Mayweather. He's taking this fight because this is the easiest fight he could possibly get. He wants to break Rocky Marciano's record. This is something that's very important to him. He has carefully, painstakingly, meticulously, brilliantly planned his fighting career and handpicked his opponents. I mean, he's fought some great fighters, but he always sought every possible advantage in the timing of those fights. You know, he fought Canelo Alvarez early. He fought Manny Pacquiao late. Like he never fights anybody at their peak. He likes to pick easy fights. This is way the easiest fight he's ever had in his professional boxing career. This is going to get him to 50-0 and the greatest of all time in his head. And so and it's also the most money. This is the biggest possible fight he could get with anybody. They're saying, like, sporting wise, the fight he should take would be between the winner of Alvarez and GGG. But he doesn't give a shit. He might lose that fight, and that's less money than McGregor.
Right. Yep.
If he fights those guys, it's Floyd Mayweather's fighting Canelo Alvarez or this Russian guy you may have heard of. But that's not going to explode out of the boxing section. That's going to be an inside the sports section story.
Yep.
McGregor Mayweather is all over everywhere because this is a freak show. Plus, like Eugene said, these guys can both talk incredible shit. So McGregor is, it's guaranteed magic. And just like Eugene said, if Mayweather, like, the thinking behind, I'm going to talk him up so then I look tough when I win, that's just not Mayweather's brand. Mayweather never gives an inch. He doesn't play anything subtle. He just talks shit about the opponent the whole way through. And so does McGregor. I mean, the instant the fight was announced, McGregor's tweeting out a picture of Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather's dad with the heading, McGregor versus Mayweather, it's on. And then McGregor's stupid-ass fans are going, wow, Floyd looks really old. I mean, it's just like, these guys are going for every dirty little rhetorical advantage, and that's where the real fight is in the pre-fight smack talk. As far as the fight itself, I mean, it's just the easiest possible payday for Mayweather imaginable. I mean,
well, one payday that used to be easy, but no longer is. Nate, you're Reebok, exclusive outfitter of the UFC. Conor McGregor's manager, Audiatar, told Ariel Helwani MMA Hour that McGregor is, quote, currently a free agent with regard to athletic apparel. We're still in discussions with Reebok and other brands, end quote. In the wake of the horrid PR behind your abominable apparel arrangement for UFC fighters, how important is it for your brand, for Cantor McGregor, to rock your fighter kit during his Floyd Mayweather super fight?
Me or Eugene? You asking me? It's my turn.
Nate.
This is one of those things where Reebok, if we were telling Reebok advice from MMA, my advice would be to tap out. I mean, I don't see any angles where they have a win in this fight. They're just going to look like jackasses. Their brand is damaged. Their apparel is crap. They've already been boxed out. They don't have the financial. They're not a financial powerhouse as far as apparel companies go, so they can't just buy their way in. I mean, that's the whole reason they took the UFC deal in the first place. It was because it was coming at a deep discount because the Fertittas wanted to have a sponsor when they sold the thing. Hey, look, we got a corporate sponsor. Like, Reebok should just tap out of this one. This is for the big boys. This is for the real players. Let Under Armour and Nike and the real players have at this, and just know, it's like me. I'm 155, 60 pounds. If I see two big behemoths getting in a fight, I'm not getting in the middle of it. Like, I just, this is big man fight, and little man going to step back. That's what Reebok needs to do. Just step back, little man, step back.
And there's one thing that we're kind of shocked that we're surprised and excited about it, but we're surprised and excited about it and shocked. But you do realize that what is that expression that my mother used to have? And she goes, it was popular in the Bronx when she was growing up. I don't have to do nothing except stay black and die. And as we've seen since then, you don't even have to stay black anymore. So all you got to do is die. There's nothing compelling you to do anything. And we like guys like McGregor and Floyd Mayweather because they put a period on the sentence that starts with, I don't have to do shit. And we all wish we could be that guy that doesn't have to do shit. But our realities are bordered on either end by guys being very much guys who have to do shit. So, you're going to tell Conor McGregor he has to do something with Reebok? I don't have to do shit. You signed a contract. Yeah, well, I was drunk when I signed it. If being in America has taught you nothing, it's that you don't have to do shit. Whatever, drug 49 women, fuck them. What? And then what? And what? And what am I supposed to do now? You know, and if you think he's going to stop, like Clint Eastwood says in Dirty Harry, he's not going to stop. How do you know? Because he likes it. They're not going to stop. You don't have to do shit. Money makes it easier to be that guy, but it's fundamentally, you know, I've got to go with Kid Nate on this one. Tap the fuck out, because you are not going to demand any concession or force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. That's where he is.
And also, it's going to bring a light onto your horrid UFC sponsorship.
And you're not going to get any. You're not going to get coverage from the rank and file.
Yep.
The rank and file's not going to give you coverage. The A-list is not going to give you coverage. The only one giving you coverage are the guys in the corner offices, and they got like those alpha cats, and they got 1 foot and $300 million and a Malibu beach home retirement anyway. But I got some phenomenal gossip that I'm gonna that I got. That I was going to talk about on Knuckle Up, but I was too wasted to go into it yesterday. But I'm going to do
There were health issues.
Yep. Correct. Okay. Well, that's what I mean. I was wasted from the surgery. So, right. Yeah, right. So, but I'm going to do the two-hour Sunday marathon, but I want to tip it so I don't forget. But, you know, let's go through a little Q&A. All right. Who owns the UFC now?
William Morris.
WME. I mean, and how much did they pay for it?
$4 billion.
4.2 billion, depending on who you're talking about. Did they put up all the money themselves?
Nope.
No.
Okay, who put up the money?
Bankers, lenders.
More specific than that? Which lenders? Any guesses?
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs, yep.
Yeah, how about this? How about some of the people who put up the money happen to be named Fertitta?
That old rumor is coming. Are you finally hearing that rumor?
It's got muscles this time, and I'm gonna debut.
It's got muscles.
Yeah, I'm gonna debut it on the two-hour Knuckle Up marathon on Sunday.
Don't get me sued. Don't get me sued.
What the hell's that in your hand, man? What are you doing?
Back scratcher I got for Father's Day. Is this thing incredible? It's
retractable. Nice.
I hurt my shoulder roller skating, and I can't scratch my back anymore. So the wife and kids come through.
Were you rolling?
Wilcox household, looking out, baby.
Oh, I'm not gonna gloss over that. Were you roller skating or roller blading?
Roller skating. I took my wife out roller skating for Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right.
And Disco Stu floored me.
If you go back to the old episode of If I Did It, you talked about it then.
Yeah, a blind guy drifted out in front of the guy, and Disco Stu, he could either have crushed the blind kid and his guide or pace me and my wife. He chose to pace me and my wife, the right choice. He held up my wife, the right choice, let me fall on my ass, and actually on my shoulder. And I'd just been taking jiu-jitsu class, so I did my stupid shoulder drop, which caused all the weight to fall on my, So there, yeah.
Man. Are you a fan of disco roller skating?
I've been taking my kids out to go roller skating, and so I thought it would be a fun. That was
a really easy question to answer. Yes.
It's fun to go roller skating, and I thought it would be a good date night thing because it's I've been married.
He doesn't want. This is a guy who doesn't want to sleep on the couch.
This is not my wife. I'm the one that's been taking the kids roller skating. My wife couldn't have cared less. So
okay, all right. So well, you got the back scratcher thing. So good.
Anyway,
good.
So that was a distraction from you and your allegedly. So anyway.
Well, he's going to talk about for 2 hours on Sunday. So
all right. Well, yeah.
There we go. So, Eugene.
Yeah.
You talked about like not having to do shit.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's something that you would want to follow as advice if you are a UFC fighter. Because my question for you is, how do you take advantage of the massive mainstream PR tsunami attached to the super fight between boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and UFC champion Conor McGregor?
If I am the UFC.
If you are a UFC fighter, if you're just a UFC fighter, how do you let that trickle down?
Well, first of all, you got to understand, if you are a rank and file fighter at this point, they are making the same mistake that guys in bands who get put on relatively soon or early on in their lives make, you know. It's like, man, this guy from the record label showed up at practice the other day, and they're going to do a video, and they're going to do this. We're going straight to the top. You got to know those guys are not doing shit for you, you know. There's a statistic connected to the best salespeople, and they said the best salespeople are the people who do the least. If you have a company that's a mid-level company and you want to make a jump, you want to get the best salespeople around. So you go out and try to hire the best salespeople. The best salespeople will not come and work for you. You know why? Because they have to work too hard at the company. Best in sales involves being able to get the most amount of money for the least amount of work. So when you get your beta level agents at William Morris who are assigned to some collection of fighters or individual fighters, or maybe you got an agent, you got to realize that that everybody wants an easy lift. So if you are sitting around hoping that they're going to start putting you on, you got to know that that's not what Conor McGregor did. That's not, he wasn't sitting around waiting for guys to get, as soon as that door opened a crack, he jumped through with both feet and was like that. He completely did an end run around anybody who would have mediated or moderated his message and just opened his mouth. So if now you're thinking with all this increased exposure, these guys are going to do something for me. If you are a fighter, do not make this mistake. They will not do anything for you. Why? Because you're a heavy, if we're having this discussion, it means you're a heavy lift already. And I guarantee you, did you send out my headshot? No. Did you maybe get me some audition? No. Well, did you, they didn't do any of that shit, and they're not going to. What you have to do is do for you. So if I'm suggesting, have a press conference, do something to grab some headlines, make friends with Soleil, fucking hang out with Johnny Depp. You got to do something to get some of the light. It's reflected off of this supernova to shine your way. How? I don't know. But do not make the mistake of waiting for people to help you, because you're not. And I'm talking about people who are hired to help you. Man, the guys go at WME, they go to work every day, whether or not you get on or not. So.
Man, what do you think, Nate?
So you're a regular UFC fighter, and what are you supposed to do about the Mayweather-McGregor?
How do you take advantage of...
How do you take advantage? I mean, there's been a number of angles. Well, like the boxers are out there trying to challenge, I'll fight this MMA guy in an opening round fight. Like, everybody wants to be Floyd Mayweather Jr. The MMA fighters with any sense stay far away from that. Although Stipe Miocic has talked some shit about wanting to get in there.
That sounded misty as shit too.
Yeah, that sounded just sad. And so I think that their best bet, I think the way the Max Holloway has handled it actually is the path to follow, at least a good path. He's been like, Conor outgrew the division. He outgrew the sport. Great, congratulations, thanks. That was then. He was the champion back in the day. I'm the champion now. If he wants to get in the cage with me, I'll beat his ass, but we know he's not getting back in the cage. So forget him, move on. It's my time now. I think that using Conor and Mayweather to get some attention, but then you have to say something and say something about yourself at the end of it. You start with an angle on Mayweather-McGregor to get people paying attention to you, but then you take it somewhere back to yourself, back to your strengths, back to the cage, and it depends who you are, obviously. Like Eddie Alvarez just needs to shut the fuck up. I mean, he got clowned by McGregor, just be quiet. But other people have different, every fighter has a different potential angle on it. Figure out what works for you. I think Holloway's example is a very solid one.
So Nate, you're a UFC fan who hates this so-called super fight between boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and UFC champion Conor McGregor. My prediction for the fight: hate watching. How is the sun of your discontent made glorious fall by the sunning of McGregor? Well,
if you're going to do that, first off, and I would never advise anyone to steal a pay-per-view, but if you're going to hate watch it, don't be paying for the pay-per-view. Figure out, go to a bar, whatever. If you're dumb enough to pay $100 retail to hate watch it, just admit it. You're a fucking sucker just like the rest of us, Like that whole angle is, I'm so much smarter than everybody else. I know this is a bullshit match. I've seen people like on the one hand going, oh, this is ridiculous. McGregor has no chance. do they allow spinning back fists in boxing? It's like, dude, you don't even know the rules of boxing. Shut up. Like, you can either, if you're going to pretend to be smart, at least try to educate yourself or limit what you say so you don't obviously look stupid. And if you're, and this is the easiest fight to hate watch. Hate watching or shit talking this fight is the equivalent of the guy who made jokes about, what was the singer who was playing in Manchester when the bombs went off?
Ariana Grande.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of making fun of Ariana Grande fans. I mean, look, everybody knows that's an easy target. Like attack something interesting. Don't attack the most fat, easy, soft, whale underbelly there is.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I started thinking of Leonard Cohen. Everybody knows. Also, hold on. The D-Man just texted during the show and said that doing the mega knuckle up on Sunday puts me counter-programmed to Kevin Lee and Michael Chiesa, which is on Sunday.
Man.
And the Bellator pay-per-view is Saturday. So I guess I will do it on Monday. I forget about the 4th of July.
Yeah. Eugene.
Sir.
Your MMA Punchole. For the past year, other so-called experts debunked, dismissed, and derailed a proposed super fight between boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and UFC champion Conor McGregor. You have intelligently articulated the numerous reasons, live and in public, if you will, why this fight makes sense for all the parties involved. What do you have to say to these haters, these critics, these fools who know nothing about how corporate America works and how the sausage gets made now that you've proven yourself to be MMA's bull of the woods?
Well, look, you know what? Hate. People have said it before, and I will say it again. Haters are going to hate. Now, there are good reasons to hate, and I'm tempted to jump in with both feet on the good reasons. Those good reasons to hate are you fucking kidding me? $200 million? These fucking mooks are getting $200 million for fundamentally a scam? Are you kidding me? That's a good reason to hate. The other reasons to hate come from people who, like somebody at one point wrote me a letter for the Sex with Eugene column, and the guy was having was in a threesome and having some kind of homosexual panic. And I said, you know what, man, your panic is actually heterosexual panic. I think that the parallel here is I think that the real hardcore haters that have come from the boxing side of the fence are worried that they're going to see some stuff that they're not prepared to see or deal with. I mean, we do realize that all wins are not wins and all losses are not losses. If they got to go to a decision on this fight, do you think that's going to make the hardcore boxing fan happy? I don't think so. Rather than set themselves up for a situation that they know is going to make them unhappy, they're fucking tapping now. They're calling bullshit on this fight. They don't like it. From the MMA side of things, I think the haters probably adhere to or cohere to the earlier version of hating the fact that this guy is going to make $100 million and thinking it will distract him or dissuade him from continuing in MMA. And I have to assure you that's most definitely not the case. $100 million would allow him to relax and actually will, I think, be an improvement for the sport because he's picking fights that intrigue him the most. And those are not necessarily fights. I mean, I think he'll probably fight a Nick Diaz. Why not? That's a fight that would intrigue him the most. I think he'll fight Nate again. Why not? You want to 1 for 1, it's got to happen. I think he'll fight whoever the fuck he wants to fight, but I think he will fight. The haters are the ones who hate the idea of him sticking around and essentially laying eggs in divisions. But if you think he's after belts at this point, I don't even think he gives a fuck about the belt. So I really am hard pressed to see this being bad for very many people at all, except for the people who are super entrenched in their specific discipline on the boxing side. And then on the MMA side, the fact that McGregor then at this point is coagulates divisions. I mean, if he doesn't fight Max Holloway, where's Max Holloway? It's pretty clear he's not interested in giving a rematch to Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo realizes this. On the way to waiting for one, Jose Aldo gets beaten up by Max Holloway. So he's effectively destroyed Jose Aldo in many more ways than one. You know, so there are reasons to hate inside, but that's got nothing to do with it. Whatever damage he did to MMA is completely undone by, again, what I'm thinking is going to be a healthy growth delta of people coming from boxing to MMA. And I'm not saying it's going to be a huge number, but like direct mail, if I get a 2% or 3% conversion, I'm going to call it a success. If I get 1%, then I failed miserably.
What do you need? What do you have to say about all the haters and doubters?
It's the opportunity cost is what Eugene's overlooking here. This isn't like sending a direct mail campaign while you do go about your other businesses. This is like putting everything else on hold. UFC actually has a pay-per-view scheduled just a couple weeks around the same time as this. Nobody's going to be paying attention to this
with who? With who?
Exactly.
No. With who?
What do you mean?
I mean, yeah, I'm making a point about.
Yeah. They got nothing.
Ooh.
They got nothing, but still, they should be building.
No, it's Mighty Mouse.
Huh?
Oh, that's right. It's going to be the Mighty Mouse Dillashaw fight that they've been trying to put together.
Oh my God!
I watched the Batman movie, and they said when they got the Robin in there, and they say something, you're a detective now. Coincidence doesn't exist for you.
And that makes me think of the Tiny Detective, which is still a brilliant idea for a Mighty Mouse TV show. But yeah, it's my God, it is. Well, they also got Cormier versus Jones on July 29th. That's going to get swamped, and then UFC 2.
No, that's not going to get swamped. Are you kidding? No,
it's going to get swamped. I mean, it's not going to break out at all. It's just going to get that tiny bastion of hardcores. It's not going to.
Cyborg's fighting in that fight too. That card.
Yeah, I don't.
It's getting swamped, dude. Everything from here until August 26th is getting swamped. Canelo.
You know what swamped means?
Swamped means big boat comes by and the wake knocks you over and sinks your boat. That's what it means.
Okay, so in your mind it means 51%.
51%. What do you
51% of our attention is focused on Conor McGregor, Mayweather. 51% of our press coverage is now Conor McGregor and Mayweather. 51%. Because I'm saying swamp, that's what swamped is to me. I'm saying I'm going to grant you 50-50. I'm not going to say swamp, though.
Oh, it's going to be swamped, dude. I mean, any chance, there's nothing that Jones and Cormier can do at this point. They could bite each other's faces off at the standoff. Nobody's going to care. Like, this is sucking all the oxygen out of the room.
You see, we got it. There we go. There's your hater. There's your hater.
Hi, hater.
No, that's my brand. That's
and there's a hater there who's happy that I didn't do knuckle up yesterday. Because what happened?
You didn't do knuckle up.
I'm sorry. Your picks? Where's my tote sheet? It's around here somewhere. Your picks.
Think I'll worry? You're such a petty little man, Eugene. You would think his picks are beneath me.
Didn't you pick Betch Kahea?
Is a sin.
I thought you picked Betch Kahea. Did she win? I'm sorry, I've been out of the loop. I don't. She didn't win.
It's beneath you, Eugene. I would say it's beneath you, but is anything beneath you?
No. Well,
beneath you?
Yeah, certain things, but not this.
So, Nate, what can Conor McGregor learn from MMA in his boxing match with Floyd Mayweather?
Well, he can't be doing no Superman kicks. He can't be doing any spinning back fists. The big thing, what can he learn? What he could have learned is if he had fought in Pride, he'd know something about working the angles in a square ring. That's what he could have learned. But since he's fought in the UFC only era, he's been adrift in that giant octagon where it's all round and there's no angles. So I don't know, man. What kind of question is it? What can McGregor learn from MMA?
You're stumped.
I'm stumped, man. I'm stumped.
What about you, Eugene? Are you stumped?
And the question is, what can McGregor learn from MMA about this fight?
His boxing match, yes.
So what has he learned from MMA that he can employ in the boxing match? Is what you're saying?
What can he learn from MMA that he can use in this boxing match?
Or what has he learned from MMA? I think he's probably. I could be wrong about this, and I know that the boxing nut jumpers are going to get all over me. I think he's probably tougher than the average boxer. Could be wrong. I don't know. But given that they have two target zones, head and midsection, maybe the average boxer is actually taking more shots than McGregor is going to take. But I don't think he's. The question is, win or lose, $100 million. how badly does a dude want to represent? At a certain point now,
You're getting closer to it.
yeah, third round in, and you realize
Come
not
on.
only is this not going my way, it's not gonna go my way. What do you do? And
What
I
he
think
could. Go ahead.
I think he's out of tap out land. Can't do that. Didn't work out well for Roberto Duran. Can't do that. You got to fight on no matter
Getting
what.
closer.
Does he answer the bell? Do they throw in a towel? Oh, that's not going to be good for the brand. That's going to be bad. I think that he'll find it's fundamentally less fun than he thought it was going to be. And I think that's probably something he's learned from MMA. That fights can be less fun than you thought they were going to be. Yeah, witness him and Nate Diaz, number one. Less fun than he thought it was going to be. He had that look on his face like, fuck. Every time he was tagged by Nate Diaz.
Right.
Look at how everybody can get tagged by Mayweather.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I think he can learn. This is what earlier on I was thinking in terms of what he can do for his career. Options that are available for Conor McGregor, what he can learn from MMA and apply to his boxing match with Floyd Mayweather. 2 fighters he has to watch. Bob Sapp and Chael Sonnen. Guys who gin up fights, but when it comes to taking the punishment,
yep.
Get your payday, wash, rinse, repeat. I can take any boxer on.
Yep.
Get that money.
And the way you did it, I think is the best. If he's watching the show, do it that way. Cover the head, take it to the midsection, crumple to your knees. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Look, at the end of the day, Bob Sapp said it. He said, why am I going to take unnecessary punishment when I get the same paycheck regardless? At the end of the day, it's his big mouth. He's going to get destroyed by Mayweather. What kind of rematch potential is there? The fact of the matter is he can gin up fights. So he gets destroyed by Mayweather. He loses against Mayweather. Pacquiao still wants to get some of that money. What boxer wouldn't want to get some of that money? He can just rinse, repeat.
No. Okay. I hate to say it because I know there's that old expression about fooling me once and then fooling me twice and then do all that shit. But I think that one of the reasons for the big payday and one of the reasons for busting the nut on this one is because there is no second. There is no second. Him against Pacquiao, nah, sorry. That's for what? If he wasn't able to learn whatever he needed to learn from going up against Mayweather, and the $100 million wasn't enough money so that maybe he wants to go for 50 or 60 mil, that's, you're going to get really hurt. It's pointless. It's really.
Not if you take it like Sapp, man.
Yeah, maybe that, but I'm saying he'll retire from that. But I don't think he's going to retire from. I think MMA is infinitely more interesting to him, right? So,
I just think that there's a dollar in a dream. There's money to be had.
Yeah, no. I mean, because part of it is the ego factor. I don't know any of us who spend any significant periods of time doing things that we're not good at. I mean, I really liked playing the violin when I played the violin, but I had a teacher who spent every single moment during the lesson telling me I should really play the viola because my hands are too fucking big, You don't think
there's going to be a situation, though, where in terms of a payday, that still within the realm of boxing, he could get a bigger payday, even if it's not against Floyd Mayweather versus what he can get in the UFC?
That's true.
There's not going to be some promoter that's going to say, hey, guess what? Let's whip out so-and-so out of retirement and put him against Conor McGregor. Let's do,
But, in the same way that the Mayweather thing makes a lot of sense, it's the same way in which anybody but Mayweather makes no sense. I mean, what are you going to try to bring up a B-level fighter? Going to gin him up by having him challenge? You think that makes sense for McGregor? Nope. I
think the money's right, man. I think if the money is right and the fight does big box office. I mean, if you look at how many, doesn't matter who.
Yeah,
you can have some kind of promoter who's going to flesh out the money, man.
When we're talking about $600 million, it very much definitely matters who. So
even for 30 million, 20 million, 30 million.
Yeah, I don't see it, man. This is a one-time event, unless it's close enough where and questionable enough so that people want to see a second go around, which I find a hard time believing it's going to be competitive that way. No.
Well, brings us to our teachable moment. Eugene, why must we thank Donald Trump for the super fight between boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and UFC champion Conor McGregor?
What the fuck? I am now adrift from the show. I have no idea what we're doing right now. What Trump? How's that? What are you talking about? I could be. I'm still brain boggled from the chemicals. Teachable moment. How should we thank? How should we thank?
Yeah.
Or should we thank?
I know this. I can take this.
Let him go.
Follow my lead.
Okay.
Trump's made anything possible. Trump has taken us into fantasy land where a bad reality TV show host can become the most powerful man on earth, even though he ran a terrible campaign and was exposed as a complete fraud in the course of it. That's what we can learn. And now we've got Conor McGregor, 0-0 in professional boxing, is fighting the greatest, most accomplished boxer of all time. Anything can happen. It's like you can just wake up tomorrow and you too could be somebody. That's how you tie it all together, Eugene.
I don't know. I'm still not in the comfortable zone where I'm
thanking Trump for anything.
No, I'm not in the comfortable zone where I can take Trump anything other than deadly seriously, right?
That's because he's toying with going to war with North Korea, Iran, and Russia at the same time. I mean, it's all fun and games, Eugene. It's just TV.
I've often said, you know what people are missing? It's the magic trick. Look over here, but you know what's happening? Every hour of every day, of every week, of every month, the trucks are loading up and driving away with cash.
No, that's why the situation is perfectly set up. Do you think that if we had a Clinton administration, the regulatory environment would have been as open to a fight between Conor McGregor, 0-0 in boxing, and Floyd Mayweather in the wake of the Ali Act, the specter of the Ali Act?
Clinton's a notorious no fun, Nick. She would have shut all this down just to spoil our good time.
Well, look, I was talking to my Trump guy about it today. We were arguing about it, and he was like, "Oh, I said the mistake you're making is that you believe I'm partisan, and you're completely fucking wrong. I am partisan, but the part that I'm a son of is the cash part. You know, it's like you got cash, I'm your pal." And I go, every single administration has figured out a really super fucking complicated cash grab, and it's not just he goes, "Oh, what are you got to go back to Reagan for proof," because I start talking about Ashton Kutcher. I mean Jared Kushner. I mean, and I said, look, Reagan came up with the brilliant pebbles. You guys are not old enough to remember brilliant pebbles. Millions of dollars appropriated by Congress for brilliant pebbles that were going to shoot ICBMs out of the sky. Star Wars is what they were calling
Star Wars, yeah. We're still spending billions on it every year.
Right, and shit was a friend of mine who was the head of this company called Stanford Telecom. He's got a PhD. Is sitting at a meeting then, and they say something that like violates one of the laws of thermodynamics. He starts laughing and looking around, convinced that the other scientists around him are going to start laughing too, and they are rapt and paying attention. And he realized cash grab. And there was another one. There was the one with the what was the real estate one under George H.W. Bush. The big real estate
savings and loan thing,
savings and loan scandal, and George W. Bush was going to he was talking about manned missions to Mars.
Oh, that was piddly ass.
Then he had the 9/11 gift wrap, and next thing you know, you got C-7 Hercules planes with filled with cash landing in fucking Iraq and disappearing to God knows where. Clinton had his, Obama had his. You know, it just happens that Democrats happen to, widen the circle of people that they make rich, but it still hasn't trickled down to me. So what Trump has made possible.
It's trickled on you, but it hasn't,
Correct. I mean, I don't, it was a regulatory environment be any different than if we had a casino owner as president? I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, any counterfactual that involves Hillary as counterfactual that involves Hillary as president, I just can't even entertain it, mostly because she's still making noises like she's thinking that something's going to happen in 2020. And I just need that to stop now. I need people to wake her the fuck up right now, Don't do this again. Absolutely do not do this again. And in Georgia, they get fucking the most expensive congressional election. The Republican
She won. The Democrats pissed away all their money and ran a guy who stood for nothing and
correct. What was the spread?
I don't know. It's not final yet, but they're just predicting.
Yeah. So I don't want to hear what did Trump. I think that if you want to make an ironclad connection, maybe I would say this. Maybe I would say that because he's friends with the bald one, maybe he's called him in and had taken up some of his time with phone calls here and there. I don't know. Hitler did lots of crazy stuff too. With his got it in.
Oh, there you go, man.
2 minutes left, you fucking pricks, you ye of little faith, you commenters. Yeah. I mean, Hitler had his Theodore Sorel, who was it? His doctor, who was writing all kinds of. They were surrounded by drug addicts. Herman Goering. So you have things that take up time. That Dana was busy. I don't know. With the Trump, I don't know if there was any connection. I think McGregor has this idea of greatness and. Start like the guy said who bitched him out on Instagram. Greatness begins with being able to buy a Rolls Royce that you can stand on top of. Until then, run along, little man.
Well, Nate, do you have a
heel turn? God, I have so many. I mean, Eric fucking Holder is making noise about running for president. This cat.
What? When? When did that?
Today in thehill.com. Eric Holder. He's going to have a bigger profile. That was the headline. This is the guy. He can run. Here's his platform. I was attorney general when the biggest financial fraud in human history hit the fan. You know how many guys I put in jail? None. That's the kind of job I'm going to do as president. Vote for me or vote for Donald Trump because I'm a complete fucking scumbag. That's the Eric Holder platform. I mean, get the fuck out of here. Okay, that's one. Then you got the Washington Post running a headline. Single payers, too expensive. We can't afford it. This is a fucking paper that is currently advocating that we get into the war with Russia and Iran over Syria, which last time I checked, I didn't give a fuck about Syria. Syria's been run by evil dictators my entire fucking life. It hasn't impacted me jack shit until we started blowing the place up and refugees are going around and there's all this trouble about it. We don't give a shit about Syria. You're telling me we're going to risk World War III with Russia and Iran over Syria? I'm sorry, Syrian people. I love you. I wish you the best. But all we would do is make things worse for them and everybody else by starting a war. This paper has never once asked the price tag of a war it's endorsed. Invade Iraq in 2003. I don't care how much it costs. These fuckers, so there's that. I could go off about Amazon, blah, blah, blah. But it's this John Ossoff campaign, the most ridiculous bullshit. This is the Hillary Clinton Democrats still cannot get it through their fucking heads. If you stand for nothing, nobody's voting for you, no matter how much fucking money you spend. You can't just put up a guy in an empty suit and say, hey, he's not Donald Trump. You're in a district where a lot of people like Donald Trump because Donald Trump at least pretends to stand for shit or pisses people off anyway. I mean, that's the real fun reason to vote for Donald Trump is you the Hillary Clinton types blow their heads up. So
you got people texting about what you're saying, man.
What?
You got people texting about what you're saying. You want me to read it to you?
Is it the D-man?
No, it's not the D-man. It's somebody else. The Republicans won a congressional seat that's been gerrymandered, so it's impossible for them to lose.
That's ridiculous. No. That seat, fucking Clinton nearly won that seat. That seat is trending Democrat. So fuck off.
Wait. And the rest of it says, and they won by a whole 5% of the vote.
That is ridiculous. I mean, this race, was kind of winnable, but the big mistake was putting all their money into this shit. They didn't put any money in the race in Montana. They didn't put any money in the race in Kansas. There was a race in South Carolina in a district just as bad, and the dude did almost as well as Ossoff without putting millions and millions of dollars in it. They picked the wrong fight, the wrong candidate, made a big show out of a fight that they weren't going to win just because they've got this slavering hard-on for Mitt Romney voters. We want to be the party of rich white people. That's what Democrats are doing with this Ossoff shit. The rest of us need a party too. If both parties are competing to be the party of rich white people, where do the rest of us fucking go?
Man, on fire.
Eugene trying to piss on me with his nonsense and his text.
I'm just telling you what the world is saying.
That's not the world. That's some random moron.
See, here it is. I thought the question about being an MMA.
Random moron. Just heard you call him a random moron.
And I'll get on Twitter and I'll call him a random moron too. That's
man, that's the heel turn.
That's the real heel turn.
So, Eugene.
Yes.
What about your Lost Battalion?
Well, I got an interesting. Well, first of all, hold on. People also texting. Did Clint Eastwood die?
What?
Did you just talk about him early? Yeah, maybe he died because you made a reference to a quote of his.
First thing comes up when Clint Eastwood death hoax hits Twitter. Reports of Clint Eastwood's death are greatly exaggerated.
Okay. All right. So
he's still alive to hear your quoting of him, Eugene. So someone send Clint Eastwood
yeah, that's right. That portion of the show. Well, in an interesting way, Lost Battalion. I'm not going to talk about it because I have yet, of course, to watch all the fights from this weekend. But I would like to talk about women's fighting, and specifically the Germaine Durandamy, her being stripped of the belt, and the inside scoop I have on that. I'm not even going to save it for the Knuckle Up 2-hour marathon. I'll just go and tell you what I've heard. Okay, the exculpatory reasoning I was being given had to do with her getting the job as a cop, apparently a job that she's a year into, and couldn't get the time off to fight in July, and would, despite what she said or her team said about the USADA test, that was said in order to buy time post-September when she would have the time to do the fight, but instead they stripped her. So if you want to stick to the format, call something Lost Battalion, I say, I don't think this is about Germaine at all. I think, again, it's about the tiny detective, Mighty Mouse, and I think it's a way to, it's a classic mafia.
Send a message.
Yeah, send a message, man. It's like, when I used to threaten people, I learned quickly that if I said, I'm going to kill you, that it's actionable and I could be arrested for it. But if I look at a guy deeply and sincerely and go, the world's a dangerous place, that I could achieve the same end, and the message would be sent. And I think in this instance, fair play, Lost Battalionized, fair play, because I think that's fucking supremely hard ball, because I can't go at you straight because you outed me. So now I'm going to turn the lights off in your house. I'm going to turn the water off in your house, and I'm going to hurl garbage over your fence, and then I'm going to act surprised when you got to move. Two birds, one stone. That's just what happened. Just what happened. I mean, everybody's excited about seeing Cyborg fight Anderson. Really? Who's everybody?
I'm excited to see Cyborg fight anybody.
That's more like it. That's more, not Anderson. Somebody called anybody who Anderson would fit that bill. Mm-hmm. So that's. It's not like I expected fair play to be running around in a field that involved the UFC, happy and knowing exactly where they were. But it was my belief in fair play that allowed me to suddenly read the news and be shocked, I tell you. So I'm going to say my sense of fair play in regards to MMA and the bald one specifically, maybe that's in a wood pile in the mist somewhere.
Well, if that is a message that's being sent, how should Mighty Mouse respond, if at all? How should his tactic with regard to the strong arming by Dana White be received?
Well, that's good journalism on your part, and that's a great question. And I think that the reality of it is that I'm going to advocate that he steady as she goes. I mean, he had to know when he wrote that letter right before he pressed send that terrible things could have happened to him. Specifically, the discontinuation of his paychecks, and that he sent it means in my mind that he was prepared for that as a possible outcome. So at this point, I would change nothing. I would change nothing. How much is it going to hurt Jermaine? Probably not very much at all. You know, if after September she's got a fight on her dance card and she could train for it, well, why not step up and fight Cyborg? That was some shit she said to buy time. Is she afraid of her? I don't think so. Why? Well, because I don't think Cyborg has any intent to take her down. I think Cyborg fully believes that she could dispatch Jermaine standing up, and she might be right. But I don't think it's like Jermaine needs to spend the next 3 months working on jiu-jitsu. I don't think that's going to happen, or it needs to happen. So the narrative, her winning the belt back, great story. Her trying to win the belt back, great story. Her insulting Cyborg some more, great story. You know, maybe you build some fallibility into the system, and Cyborg has a hard time with Anderson, so people think there might be some juice in the fight. These are also good stories. Can't lose. Can't lose.
But it's going back to 135. I can't lose too.
Yeah, I'd say. I guess, you know, this is not bad for her. Mighty Mouse does nothing. Not bad for him. They're not going to cut him. Taking away the belt is a far cry from cutting somebody. So fuck it. If I'm him, steady as she goes. Come to me when you got an offer. You know, and you do realize that, you know, the terms I asked for were, I thought, quite reasonable. You know, if he can't make weight, I get all the money. How's that?
How would you, Nate? Do you you change your course of action if you're Mighty Mouse?
If I'm Mighty Mouse, I'd take the TJ Dillashaw fight because Kid Nate wants to see it. That's.
And on that note, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at EUGENE'S Robinson, at Alexiota Kid Nate. Please give us a thumbs up, Eugene.
Those aren't his thumbs.
You know.
Leave comments on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube, MMA Nation. On iTunes, visit Bloody Elbow. Buy Oxbow's Thin Black Duke, where our fine music is sold.
Yep. And I got the last of the books in, so Kid Nate, it's a weekend of packaging books. You shall have yours next week.
These are my thumbs.
Yeah.
For past episodes of the show, check out our If I Did It playlist at MMANation.com. And be sure to check out all three of us on Amazon.com. We'll be back next week with another installment of If I Did It. And we don't know what we're going to be discussing because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.